Hey YouTube, Coppersan here. Already have a main, but you're always running out of meso? Already used up all your EXP cards and totems? Well then perhaps it's time to start looking into bossing mules, especially if you're on the Reboot server. Because with the Destiny update, the prices of the crystals dropped by boss monsters has been increased, especially for the Reboot server. If you can defeat weekly bosses from Hard Hilla to Akechi, that already is an additional 1 billion mesos per week that you can make, and this goes up to almost 1.5 billion a week if you can clear up to normal Damien. You can easily make another billion a week just from clearing daily bosses. Plus you'll be getting a ton of cubes, souls and other useful items that you can use across your characters. So having at least one bossing mule is quite beneficial for your whole account. Which class you want to make your bossing mule though is entirely up to you. All classes are viable, even though some do require a bit more funding than others. For example, a Phantom bossing mule would require a bit more stats than an Adele bossing mule. However, I would recommend picking a class that you're most comfortable bossing with. Bossing on lower stats can be a challenge, and growing bossing mules takes time, so if you're already comfortable with the class you're playing with, it will be a lot easier to dodge those boss mechanics. My own bossing mule that I'm working on right now is a Paladin, and I'll be using this guy as an example during this whole video. And it is a Paladin because I'm a lazy bosser. I don't want to work too hard when bossing, so I prefer to just face tank as much as possible without running the risk of dying. Even though Paladin's damage might not be the highest among the explorers, bossing with this class is fun and easy for me, so I don't mind working a bit harder to get a few more stats. My other bossing mule is a Wind Archer, mostly because of the same reason as the Paladin, but in a slightly different way. Wind Archers can place down a crystal that bosses will attack instead of you. I'm a big fan of ignoring boss mechanics, and the Wind Archer helps me achieve that, together with the Paladin of course as well. If you're not sure yet yourself which class you want to boss with, I can also recommend the Demon Slayer. Those have high critical rate on their attacks, as well as additional boss damage and ignore defense. Honestly, any explorer would make a fine bossing mule after the Destiny update, and classes like Adele, Ark, Hoyoung are all pretty solid as well. I'll make a video soon where I go more in depth on which classes have high base stats and are pretty easy to get started on. Progressing on a mule can be fast, especially if you're burning your bossing mule. The temporary level 150 set and the absolute weapon that you'll get once you reach level 220 will make things so much easier. I can always recommend burning a bossing mule if any burning event is active. Usually the first goal of your bossing mule is to be able to beat up to the Chaos Through the Abyss bosses comfortably and then slowly work your way up to Lotus and Damien. With 7.5k stats on my Paladin, I already was able to take down all 4 Through the Abyss bosses within a decent time, and I'm sure that once I reach about 14-15k stats, I'll be able to solo Lotus and Damien pretty fast. I have a guide video that explains more about how to fight them if you're not sure about the boss mechanics yourself yet. When you want to get stronger to defeat bosses on your bossing mule, increasing your main stat helps, but there are more factors at play when it comes to defeating bosses fast, like critical rate, damage, boss damage, ignore defense, and stats like critical damage. Raising all those stats will help you boss faster and level up faster as well. So how do you get those stats? Well, first let's go over which gear I like to use when it comes to bossing mules. If you're using a burning character, make sure to use the temporary Fafnir set. If not, then you can either use the Pencilar set, the Von Leeuwen set that is obtained from the Von Leeuwen boss and the Von Leeuwen coin store that's in the same area, and the Necromancer set that is obtained from Hilla. In the case of my Paladin, I was burning, so I had a temporary Fafnir set. For rings, I usually use a Von Leeuwen ring, another ring that's dropped by Horntail, and any other ring that I can get. I usually get event rings on my bossing mules. The Connor ring, dropped by the boss Princess No, is really good as well, but that boss is on the same level as the first 3 bosses of Chaos Through the Abyss, so it will take a while before you can get that one. My pocket slot item is a pink Holy Cup that's dropped by Pink Bean. For pendants, I usually go with the Horntail pendant and the Machinator pendant dropped by Icarium. I switch out the Chaos Horntail pendant once I get a Dominator pendant also dropped by Icarium. But that one is a bit tougher to get. I usually either use a Pink Bean belt or a Zakoon belt. The Zakoon belt has slightly higher stats than the Pink Bean one, but you can get the Pink Bean belt a bit earlier because the Zakoon belt is only dropped by Chaos Zakoon. And you'll need about 3k stats and about 80% IED or ignore defense to deal with that boss, to deal with Chaos Zakoon. My Eye and Face accessory are usually the ones that are dropped by regular and Chaos Zakoon, and if I find the Black Bean mark from Pink Bean, I swap out one of them. My shoes are usually Pencilar or Necromancer if I found one with good bonus stats, but I do usually replace those with the shoes dropped by Normal and Hard Magnus if those have better stats. Earrings and shoulders are also part of the boss accessories. I'm using earrings dropped by Hilla. The horntail earrings work fine as well, by the way. And the shoulder is dropped by Magnus. I'm using a penciler glove, unless I find like a better glove from either Valian or Hilla. The same goes for the level 150 items dropped by Maru. Feel free to use those if you find any that have better stats than what you're using right now. For my cape, I was using a Sukum cape, but I recently replaced that with a cape dropped by Magnus. You can also save the Sukum cape and transfer hammer that to the Absolab cape if you're going for that. For your totems, you can complete the Afterland Steam Dungeon to get 3 free totems and be done with that. I think those are probably the best value for your time. Or you can hunt for totems in Shanghai, but only do that if you have enough time for that. The drop rate is pretty low. The Golux accessory set is pretty good to get as well, but getting all of those, especially the superior ones, is gonna be a very long grind, like easily weeks if not months, and those are not necessary to reach our goal. The same goes for gear obtained from Commercy. You can go for that as well if you want to, but if you don't have that much time to burn on gearing your bossing mules, you can clear Lotus and Damien fine without those as well. Dual Miracle Time was yesterday, so I did not save up 2 billion meso yet for an Android heart, the one you can get from the event store. This heart can get 8 additional Star Force and you can cube it as well. This item won't make or break your boss runs, but it is nice to have. Just don't go broke on it. There are other items that are more impactful that you can work on first. So this is the gear that I'm gonna use personally to get up to Lotus and Damien. As you can tell, I like it to make myself comfortable and like to take the easy route when I'm working on my bossing gear. I'm fine with spending a bit of meso on gear that might not be super perfect, like doesn't have the highest base stats. But this is fine to get to the point where I want to go, and I want to spend as little as time as possible on this bossing mule. I just want to get strong fast while putting in the least amount of effort. Right now I'm at 12k stats, just after my double miracle time. Growing your stats will be your biggest time investment when you're working on your bossing mules. And just before we continue, I'm condensing stuff a lot in this video, so feel free to check out my Zero to Hero series to see what I upgraded when exactly and what the hurdles were. That's like an 8-part video series where I built a character from scratch and we get ready for CRA, probably also for Lotus and Damien now after the Destiny update, but I gotta try that out sometime. Anyway, what I do when I'm upgrading my gear. I first get all items to 10 stars. Don't Starforce your superior items, by the way. That cape and shoes that you can find from Magnus, please do not Starforce those. Very expensive, not worth your time. Then I work on getting potential on all items. You can find potential scrolls from bosses, in the Legion store, event stores and plenty of other places in the game. There also are 3 items that you always want to focus on first when you're cubing your gear. Starting with your weapon, your secondary or shield and your emblem. You can skip upgrading your weapon if you're using a fake Absolab or temporary Fafnir weapon, even though you might want to reroll your temporary Fafnir weapon with some occult cubes if you just need a small stat boost. You're gonna focus on these 3 items first because they can get lines of attack and magic attack percentage, whichever one you want, always depends on your class of course, as well as boss damage and ignore defense lines, which are very valuable for bossing. After that, you can cube your other items depending on if you plan to replace them anytime soon. This step really depends on where you are, so first always focus on emblem, secondary and weapon. I, for example, first focus on the rings because I plan to keep those for a longer time, and my other accessories after that. I'm using those event rings, remember that, they have pretty high base stats, so we're gonna keep those for a while. Plus later on you can recube those into meso gear, for example, or drop gear. If you already have a permanent level 150 top hat and weapon, the Fafnir set, then make sure to cube those as well. I myself didn't bother that much with my shoes, glove and cape, because I'm going to replace those with Absolab gear at one point. You can do the same thing if you do plan to go for Lotus and Damien, of course. I just got those to epic and rolled 6% of my main stat using occult cubes, and that's it. When I'm cubing though with red and black cubes, I like to be a little bit greedy. I always try to get at least 2 relevant lines on my item's potential. Once you've done your cubing, you're feeling pretty good about your stats, and you have some spare items, you've been bossing already for a little while, already started defeating CRA, then try and get your CRA gear, your Fafnir set, to 17 stars with Star Forcing. If you want to save mesos, only Star Force during sunny Sundays when there is a discount on Star Forcing or when some stars are guaranteed to always succeed. Unless of course if you're just feeling lucky, then just go for it. I like to do that all the time. Sometimes it's very expensive as well, and sometimes it kinda works out. After that, you can focus more on your bonus stats. Using flames to get the bonus stats that you want. Always try to go for flat stats, stat percentages and weapon attack. The flat stats, by the way, are affected by your potential, which can make them pretty valuable. So, in short, get all items to at least 10 stars whenever possible, get potential on all your items and rank them up to epic, aim for at least 6% of your main stat on every item. With just this and enough IED and all other stats I'm gonna mention in a bit, you should already be able to get enough stats, anywhere between 5 and 7k, and with those stats you should be able to struggle at least the first 3 bosses of Chaos Root Abyss. After you're done getting everything to epic and 6% stats, go for higher potential ranks and at least 2 useful lines. Focus on your emblem, secondary and weapon first. Then focus on other gear that you won't replace or won't replace at least anytime soon. Then try to get items to 17 stars and try to perfect your bonus stats using flames. To start weekly bossing, I always recommend to get at least 100% critical rate. This will boost your overall damage by so much. The Phantom Link skill gives a good chunk of critical rate, so does the Beast Tamer Link skill and the Explorer Archer Link skills. The Night Lord and Marksman Legion effects also give critical rate if you need more. If you're struggling with boss fights, also try to up your damage. This can be done with a lot of Link skills. Classes like Arc, Kane, Demon Avenger, Kanna, Ilium, Explorer Thief, Cadena and more all increase damage. The Wild Hunter Legion effect also has a chance to increase your damage as well. The most important stat though when you're bossing is Ignore Defense. To further increase this stat, get the Luminous, Hoyoung, Explorer Magician and Zero Link skills. The Zero Link skill is not the greatest though, but it could help you out if you just need a little bit more IED. The Beast Tamer and Blaster Legion effects also increase Ignore Defense. Another thing that you can do is get familiars. Sometimes you get lucky and get an Ignore Defense line on them. These lines can appear on any familiar, but the chance to get one is pretty low. And finally there is boss damage. There are classes like Beast Tamer, Adele and Demon Slayer, their link skills all increase your boss damage. And other classes like Demon Avenger and Kanna, their Legion effects also increase your boss damage as well. You can increase your main stats also by simply leveling up and completing your daily, so you can keep leveling up your arcane symbols. Another absolutely massive part of your damage are going to be your nodes, especially your boost nodes. Make sure to level those up as well and use any relevant nodes when you're bossing. And of course every time you level up you can also upgrade one of your nodes as well. You can get more nodes from simply grinding and events usually. And finally, don't forget about your hyperstats either. I usually have a different preset that I use when I go bossing. So you all have seen the gear on my paladin in this video. I want to get just slightly stronger, get a few better event rings and a bit more potential lines. I still need to get my level 150 gear to 70 stars as well. I have 2 items at 60 now and 1 is still at 12 stars. With that, I think I should be able to comfortably beat Lotus and Damien. I think for bossing mules that want to go up to Lotus and Damien, it is smart to try and get the Absolute Cape, gloves, shoes, shoulder and weapon, starting with the gloves. This would be the next goal for me. If you plan to do the same, make sure to do the Scrapyard and Demon Camp weeklies on multiple characters so you can speed things up. And that's how I like to build my own bossing mules. Got any tips to share? Feel free to leave them in the comments. And that was all for today. I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, many thanks to our members for making these videos possible. Many thanks to Niels the Coninck, Raar maar waar, Sebastian Hanoy, Ryalias, Terry Kim, Vareese, Cowdy Mora, Wiley, Historycanon, BackSpaceOTI, Saffronyx, Anwar NHI, Ziggy Deer, Flidiot, Knifesu, Chen125, Cloudwix, Gusus Rodriguez, Froggy, Vira, Trevor, Michael Menchaca, Ratius, Justin Vale, Silvio Nato, Stevie Zhang, Afterlord_MS, ceemak, Striker Elk, Tidal1 Pan, Victor Sunstrom, Radical Jaws, Ricer RU, Gummy Bullet, Lovebird, 32655, Mathias Simonson, Mr. Narc, Galando Balavia. My name is Coppersan and I'm super cute XOXO. PC Game Life, Dante Victory, Stanislaus Xumo Vegas, Swap to Bish, Road to level 235, 30k stat, !Reboot, The Passenger, Martin Panzik, I'm Disappointed, Lucky Beats, Gable Eck, Pedro Benetti, Conrad Castales, Ace Light, Ben Wolf, Max Bernhardt, Doc on the Talker Box, Muka 1017, BNB King, Scotty Flies Fast, Priscilla, Brandon Cam, Shake1, Vake Botnet, and Gianfranco Calderon Canavero. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe and happy mapling!